Guys, we're going to get moving, we're going to get on with it now, guys. We always want to close in a bit so we look like there's loads of us.
Yeah, hey, there's enough of us, Billy, there always is. Enough. There's always whoever's here, mate.
It's not the quantity, it's the quality of people here, isn't it? Oh, I've lost my speech.
You don't need no speech.
They say the same thing for 20 years, I should know it by now, shouldn't I?
You're an expert, brother, you're an expert at what you do.
I've not beat up George Galloway.
When are you going to start, Billy?
I'm going to start in a minute, I'm just
tell me,
getting everybody in.
Just tell me
What's
I'll
up?
start rolling.
Paul, Andy.
I know it's not going to go anywhere, it's inside of you.
Same as me.
Fighting for breath.
I'm the same, aren't
Go on, guys. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen. No, technical issue.
So just press go live.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for standing with me today on the tour. The accountability now. Enough is enough, guys. We've been starting to go around the UK. We've done Oldham. We've done St Helens. We're now here to do Leeds, and with good reason to be here in Leeds as well, with the amount of cases that I've gone. Just a little bit of research that I've done over the last couple of days. I can tell you now, since 2021, 129 men from Leeds alone have been convicted of abusing Leeds children. So 129 men in 5 years. That's absolutely outstandingly disgusting. Also, I'm not counting the abusing Jewess. I'm not counting those that are today on bail. I can tell you now, before you, in Leeds alone, there's 64 men on bail in Leeds today for abusing children. This is why we're here in Leeds, and this is why we'll be hitting many other towns across the UK, because they've got exactly the same issue. For those that don't know me, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Billy Howarth, and I'm founder of Parents Against Grooming UK, and for the last 20 years I've been fighting the abuse of children in the UK. It starts off with No View School for me, with the paedophile Cyril Smith. Does anyone know who I'm on about? Yeah. Cyril Smith was a member of Parliament for both Labour and for the Liberal Democrats, who used No View House, Cambridge House, Smith Street toilets, along with his cronies, to abuse as many as Rochdale boys who were all my age and older for many, many years. Them boys have never had justice, so this is again accountability now. We can't start that without speaking about these lads, and we can't start that without speaking about lads from Beach Home House and from Elm's Guest House and the rest of them, from the West Monster paedophiles. That's what they were, and they preyed upon our boys all across the country. We're not just fighting against grooming gangs, ladies and gentlemen, we're fighting against paedophiles. We're fighting against, this is not a fight of right and left, this is a fight of good versus evil. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all on the side of the good. Mohamed Yaqub, Nazir Bilmora, Yusuf Mutala, Dewsbury, Batley, Dewsbury, all been charged recently of abusing your children here in Leeds. We've got to make this stand. We are the last line of our children's defence, ladies and gentlemen. There is a dark cloud of injustice that reap over the skies of the United Kingdom. It's only us that's going to move those clouds so accountability can shine through. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me here today. I'm going to be speaking again, but I'm going to get on with putting some speakers in front of you, people who have lived this first-hand testimony. Please, I know there's a lot going on around you, but there's nobody more important than the person speaking to you. So please listen to what they're saying, video it, put it on the social media so everybody can see just what these people are saying. So first up, I'm going to stay with the historical stuff, and the first person I'm going to bring up is my good friend Alan Murray from Beach on Survive. Please give him a warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Won't forget you this time. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Alan Murray, ladies and gentlemen.
Guys, as Billy's just said, when he's talking about things, it's like sometimes when survivors come together, their testimonies are what makes the lot of difference. Unfortunately, I'll talk with the police and all that, but the police are complicit as well, our courts are complicit, our politicians are complicit. When he talks about child abuse in the system, when we're talking about child abuse and we've got a heckler, what about child abuse, my friend? Have you ever been abused? You wouldn't know what it was like. So I spent 17 years in different institutions, people. From the age of 0 to 6, I was in 5 different children's homes. They called it respite care. So they put you into care because they deemed your parents weren't suitable for looking after you. My abuse started at home, guys. My father, at 4 years of age, was beating this young little fella, the guy speaking today, Alan Merritt, with a leather belt at 4 years of age. I was almost like the runt of the litter. They didn't really want me. And because of it, we was left to roam the streets of London, hanging outside public houses. And the streets were all places of entertainment. We had to find, we'd put our jumpers down and make goalposts out of them. And we found our own into that tin can Tommy and all that nonsense that people probably don't even know about now because they're too busy sitting in front of computers. But when Billy talks about the likes of Cyril Smith and the Elms Guest House, I've got first-hand evidence of the Elms Guest House, Dolphin Square, Westminster paedophile ring. You've got Labour politicians to this very day, in Patricia Hewitt and Harriet Harman, were part of PI, the paedophile information exchange, and the Westminster paedophile ring. They don't talk about the politicians because there's 650 MPs in Parliament. It makes them complicit by not speaking out, for not talking about it, not doing anything about it, for the inquiries after inquiries. I got a phone call from the police because I went to the police as a young boy saying I was getting abused. 7 abusers I had in Beecham, 7, including school teachers. They would put carbolic soap in your mouth, in your eyes. They'd scrub you with floor scrubbing brushes, take the skin off your back and put carbolic soap and acid. They would put it into your body. They put bleach in the water, they put Vim in the water. I was abused in the dormitories. The staff would take you out of the dormitories and take you into their rooms. And one thing a survivor will always tell you is the hygiene of these abusers. Their bad breath, the smell of cigarettes, the smell of alcohol, their uncleanness or BO or, you know, other bodily smells where they don't wash themselves, look after themselves. And you can imagine being a child, being abused by these monsters. I was first hand, all my family, 2 sisters, another brother and myself, 4, a family of 4, the Merritts, in 1 children's home. Guys, I have to do this, and this is not a very good picture, but this is my sister Margie. If you can see the eyes in that little girl's eyes, look at the black eyes of that girl. The trauma in her eyes. She was abused, same as I was. I haven't got all the photographs with me, but this is real evidence. We're not talking about hearsay, we're talking about testimony from survivors, actual fact. Let me just put this down a minute, guys. I'm going to read something as well, because also I don't want us to pigeonhole and forget the survivors of historic child abuse. It's very important that we talk in terms of not pigeonholing and taking one selection or one type of person amongst others. We have problems in this country, I know. But I'm going to read something now, something I wrote, and if you can just bear with me for 1 second.
I'll sing to you while we wait.
Thank you, mate.
I'm only joking, I've got tone deaf me. Guys, you just got to ignore claims like that. You know, boring. The abuse of children is boring. It's better off over there away from us because the only people that are stood here actually care about our children. And people that put their head up, the best thing you can do is make them irrelevant and pretend that they're not there. Because, like I said just before that, the only important person speaking is the man with the mic who's pouring his heart out. That's the most important person here. Thank you.
I found it, guys. Thank you. Let me just find it.
Unfortunately, I get to the stage now that I have to read certain things nowadays. It's, I can remember so much, but I can't remember every single thing I do and write. And as you know, I go all over the country filming and speaking, and I'll always support Billy because, like himself, he's a fellow survivor like myself. And you know, to get people to listen to us is very, very honourable, and I respect every single one of you for coming here today. And it's an honour to be standing with you people. Thank you very much indeed. So here we go, guys. Let me just start this. I'm trying to find it. Didn't realise it was that long. Ooh, come on, Alan. Right, I speak today. Sorry. All right, Billy?
Yeah, all good.
I speak today with respect for every person who is fighting for the justice of victims. For the grooming gangs inquiry, those crimes are real, horrific. Those responsible must be held accountable. Every victim deserves to be heard, and every survivor deserves justice. But I want to say something that is often let out of the conversation. Abuse in this country did not exist in only one form, and it did not happen to only one group of people. For many of us, the abuse came from the very institutions that were supposed to protect us. The state, the care system, and in some cases, the church. For decades, thousands upon thousands of children were placed into children's homes and state care. After the Children's Act of 1948, the government assumed responsibility for many of those most vulnerable children in this country. Yet inside too many of these homes, protection was placed with neglect, cruelty and abuse. It is estimated that by the late 20th century, hundreds of thousands of children had passed through the care system. Many of those homes were run by, with little oversight. Some staff were caring, decent people, but others were not. Some were untrained, some were indifferent, and tragically some were predators. Very important that you say that. Individuals should never have been allowed near children. For many children, those homes felt more like workhouses than places of care. Abuse was physical, abuse was psychological, and in far too many cases, abuse was sexual. These were not isolated incidents, these were patterns that repeated across institutions and across generations. And what happened to those children when they became adults? Many were left traumatised, dysfunctional, and carrying scars that never fully healed. You only have to look at me, guys, because I am still traumatised by it. I still have night tremors. I still wake up. I'm 71 next week on the 25th of March, and I'm still out here trying to get justice for one of the biggest children's homes in this country. Beecham had 24 houses here. 900 children were placed in this kids' home at one stage. It was the biggest. It was like a town. It had everything. It had its own shops. It had its own gym. It had its own playing fields. It had sick bay like a little hospital. It had everything. It had 12 houses one end, 12 houses the other end, and each house was named after a tree. And like I said, I had 7 abusers in there. Even the superintendent of the house abused me after I'd gone to the police, turning around and said I'm being abused, bounced me off his knee in a perverse way, getting worked off for bouncing a little boy off his knee in his office. And he said to me, little boys like you get sent away. In the corner is a cane. We cane little boys like you. Little boys are seen and not heard. Anyway, I'll carry on with what I was saying, guys, but I went off a little ski whiff there. But It's important to try and get a message across. Even historic abuse never gets the recognition. There's no public inquiry into the grooming, there's current inquiries of the groom gangs, but I can assure you it won't go anywhere because the cover-up is far greater because politicians are involved. And politicians, Westminster to me is the paedophile epicentre of the country. Yeah. The numerous amount of politicians that have been abusing people. They took children out of beach home in Jimmy Savile's Sunshine Coaches. Jimmy Savile is at the heart of all of this. Jimmy Savile's mixed with royalty. You know, I cabbed in London. I knew all about Dolphin Square. I knew all about the Elms Guest House. When Billy talks about Cyril Smith, it haunts me. It literally haunts me. I knew all of these places. I drove to these places. I know all these places. One of my best friends is a senior police officer in the Metropolitan Police called John Wedger, spelled Jon Wedger, right? John was thrown out of the police force for exposing. Let's just get this right. A police officer there to arrest the bad guys and go after the criminals. John was doing exactly that. He was going after these predators. He was going after these perverts. Children were attracted to bright lights and amusement arcades. Well, they knew that. They went there, and they went there to groom the children and traffic the children. They would offer them goodies, sweeties and all that and ply them with drinks and drugs and so on and so forth. And these kids as well. Children were attracted to water. Children went down the canal paths and to look at the boats and look down the narrow boats. They were taken on these narrow boats and never seen again. The Sunshine Coaches came into Beach Home. The children were taken from Beach Home and never seen again. Children of testimonies, James Reeves turns around and said in one of his testimonies, he was taken out of Beach Home by politicians to Dolphin Square. Other survivors' testimonies link Elms Guest House. The two are linked indefinitely, where the paedophile Westminster and the politicians that we've got today did nothing then and still do nothing today. I've got off track, haven't I?
You're weaving, Al, you're weaving.
I'm weaving. I'm trying to get in as much as I can because it's very important. I've been doing this a long time like Billy has. It's trying to get, it's all right talking about it. You can shine the brightest light, but people don't see it. You can shout from the tallest building, and people don't hear you. We've got that same old story today. People are so complicit and comfortable with their own lifestyles, they do nothing about it. You all right?
Yeah, it's me, man.
Just get back to where I was. So, yeah, so many were left traumatised, dysfunctional, and carried the scars, never fully healed. Some turned to drink, some turned to drugs, some ended up in prison, not because they were born criminals, but because they were broken by experience no child should ever endure. When a child grows up surrounded by violence, neglect and fear, the consequences follow them for a lifetime. So the question must be asked, when were the inquiries for? Where was the justice for those children? We cannot treat abuse as if it belongs to one category, one headline and one political movement. Abuse is abuse, whatever it happens, in the streets, in the institutions, in churches or state-run homes. The victims deserve the same recognition, the same compassion and the same pursuit of truth. Justice cannot be selective, it cannot be limited to what is particularly convenient or what receives the most media attention. If we are serious about protecting children and helping survivors, then we must confront all history of abuse in the country. This means acknowledgement of the failures of institutions and listen to those like myself who were silenced and offering real support to those still living with the trauma. Because this is not a pigeonhole issue, it is a human issue. Every victim matters, every survivor deserves to be heard, and the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, must never again be ignored. Thank you, Leeds, for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Alan Merritt, ladies and gentlemen. Touching up on some of the things he said, many of these lads from school, they're addicted to drugs, they're alcoholic. the lost souls. But ladies and gentlemen, some of them took their own lives, and that's something we can never forget. Some of these lads, my friend Ian Broomhead, he took his life. He's no longer here anymore. He's left a son, he's left a missus. He's not here anymore because he couldn't get the justice. One of the things that Alan didn't mention is that these schools was classed back in the day as naughty boys schools. In today's world, to be known as special needs schools. So they weren't just preying on children, they were preying on the most vulnerable children in our society, and we've got to keep pushing and fighting for the accountability. Not, for them too. We cannot forget them. We've got to fight for them too. Yeah, we've got to fight for these boys as well. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on quickly to Rochdale, where I'm from. I'm from Rochdale, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't my first time visit to Leeds, as the next speaker is going to talk to you about. We've had a case here where it was between Leeds and Barrow. Does you all remember the Ellie Williams case in Barrow? Well, the three brothers that were involved in round about that case were convicted, were all received life sentences. We was told by the Cumbria police there is no grooming gang. The superintendent made a statement, there is no grooming gang. Right up until the day there was a grooming gang convicted. Someone who's helped me in PAGUK UK Cumbria, someone who's stood with me for many years on this issue, is Jason from Barrow. So please give him a nice warm welcome. He's going to tell you a little bit about the stuff in Barrow.
Thank you, Billy. Thanks for having us. And, in 2018, my young son, 11 years old at the time, came to see me with his friend. It was the start of the summer holidays, beginning of August. Then he came to tell me about the bad man in the ice cream van who was driving around locally trying to get children's phone numbers, trying to entice children into the van. I didn't believe him. I thought that these people had to be checked and had to have DBS checks and all the usual things. So I dismissed him. 2 days later, a video appeared online which showed children throwing stones at an ice cream van. It was put online as a racist attack, a racial attack. My son was in the video. He threw no stones. He was in fact just watching and holding his bike. But as you can imagine, we were classed as a local racist. They all blamed the parents, etc., etc. But they were throwing stones at the van because they were scared of the man that was driving. We did some investigation and we discovered that this man was on bail for nefarious crimes. Crimes which is now serving a life sentence for of 28 years. That's one of the Mia brothers, Shah Jaman Mia. He also committed offences here in Beeston at the mosque, along with his two despicable brothers. These men, all three of them, were working as a gang in Barrow in Furness and Leeds. In 2020, Dean Holden stood on the top of Barrow police station and he said, after investigation, there is no grooming gang in Leeds. In Barrow, I apologise, there's no grooming gang in Barrow. There in fact was, and it had been for some time. They can call it a historic gang and historic crimes. The crimes that they've been charged with, they all relate from pre-2010. But they didn't just stop those crimes in 2010, they carried on. What happened was they streamlined their operation. They streamlined their operation and they were more careful and they didn't get caught. So in 2018 they were still committing these crimes in ice cream vans, in local businesses, in local takeaways. And they were grooming boys and girls with drugs, with food, with kindness and all the usual stuff. Some of these girls even thought they were in relationships. You know, we've got to know the signs, people. People have got to know the signs. But, you know, there was a case in Barrow where a girl told lies. She told lies because no one was listening to the truth. Ellie Williams. Now, you know, I can't condone the telling of any lies, you know, because they destroy lives and they destroy the lives of people that are innocent. And the guys that she accused that were innocent, it's disgraceful, it was awful. But there's no smoke without fire. And we knew that fire existed in 2018. But what happens when you try to expose what's going on is you get accused of being a local racist or a right wing. We're not right wing, we're just concerned parents and citizens and people that want to know what's going on. We don't want this evil in our communities. You know, I was arrested in 2018 for trying to expose what was going on. I was charged with racial assault, a case that I fought at trial in February of 2020. After 2 years, I was found not guilty of all charges because it was a self-defence act. Now, the government are on about taking away our right to trial, guys. If I didn't have that right to trial, I'd be sat in jail now doing 5 or 6 years for racial assault with a weapon, which I didn't commit, because that's how they try to portray things. We've got to stand together. We've got to stand together and we've got to stand up. We've got to make changes, and we can only make those changes if we all do this together. If we all stand side by side, hand in hand, arm in arm. Because no one listens. You know, no one wants to talk about this stuff. We come to these demonstrations, we have the same faces here every time. You know, and there's always a couple of new faces, but there should be hundreds of us. Where's everybody at? Thousands of us. You know, we all talk a good fight, but everybody should be here. I love every one of you for turning up. Every one of you. You know, praise God and thank you for being here. You know, this is Billy's fight. Billy's been doing this for a long time. It's everybody's fight. We all need to stand up for our kids, and like Billy says, we are the first line of defence and the last line of defence as well, because no one's going to do it for you. If you don't stand up, no one's going to do this stuff for you. We have to do it together. Anyway, I'm not going to go on because I could go on forever. But thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Over you, brother. Let's go one more time for Jason, guys. It's not easy to stand here speaking in public. Just going to throw another start for you. Anyone here from Leeds? Just put your hand up so I know that. So, Operation Stonewood at the end of February had its 50th conviction. So 50 men via Operation Stonewood on your front doorstep have been convicted. There's many more to go. So I just wanted you to understand why we're here in Leeds, because Leeds and the surrounding areas are under attack, and we've got to raise awareness. Education is the winner. Education and having this conversation at the kitchen table will prevent children from being abused. We've all got to do that. And one more thing, guys, 90% of grooming is online, so always check your children's devices. It's imperative. It's not invasion, it's called safeguarding. And if no one's going to do it, if you're not going to do it, no one else is. These paedophiles don't even need to leave the bedrooms anymore to groom your children. So we've got to be on the ball with that. Let's put up a fight against them, both on the street and at home, because that's the way we'll win this fight. And also at the ballot box, because we know who's responsible. I'm going to cover that shortly. So also, I just wanted to highlight, on top of that staff Operation Stonewood, that former police constable in his 50s was charged in March for rape as well. So, you know, some of your constabulary are, you know, not doing what they're supposed to do in safeguarding people. It's the same in Greater Manchester. We've seen multiple officers charged with offences against children and against women. There's something seriously wrong in Greater Manchester. I'm going to move on to my next speaker, because we've got a few to get through. Excuse me. So, a lovely group which I've come across over the last couple of months, what's popped up, and they're doing some great work, raising a fantastic awareness. And to be honest with you, I've always done this 28, it seems to be like a lot of men speaking to you. Well, I want women to come, I want women to have a voice, I want the pink ladies to be able to come. So I'm going to introduce the pink ladies right now. So, who's first, Teresa or Sue? Come on, ladies. Nice one. Pink ladies. Again, get me to stand for you guys. I'm going to get a song, she's got a drum. Nice warm welcome for Sue and Teresa.
Hi. Hello. Thank you for everyone from Leeds to turn up today. Men, women, fathers and mothers, grandparents and young people. We have stood strong. We have stood brave. We have stood our ground.
Sorry to switch mic, that one.
I'd like to share a little about British Women First and what we have been involved in. We've been out there, boots on ground, listening to real concerns and real women and young girls. People afraid to be outside in their own communities, not just at night, but in the daytime as well. We've been able to offer some advice, tips and some basic self-defense techniques, along with our vital emergency kits, which we've been handing out together without funding. These are vital for all girls and women, and we have proven that it does make a difference. Women are telling us they feel a little safer in the knowledge that we are listening, we are speaking up for them, and we are offering them some advice. However small these kits are, they will make a real difference. And this is why we are here today. And why you are here today, for one reason: to demand protection for women, our children and our communities. Let us be clear right from the beginning. We are not here because of hate. It's alright. It's alright, no worries. We are not here to divide. We are not here because of race. We are here because many people in power have chosen silence over safety. And we refuse to accept that any longer. Across towns, cities like Leeds, decisions are being made without community consent. Hotels for families, tourists, local jobs are being converted. They're being converted into family homes are being converted into HMOs. Residential streets are being changed without proper consultation, without transparency, and without adequate safeguarding. And when local people raise concerns, we are told not to worry. We are told we are overreacting. We are told to be quiet. But here's the question for those in authority, never seeming willingly to answer. Why is the burden always placed on women and girls to change the behaviour, instead of those who are supposed to protect them? Why are women told not to walk alone? Why girls are told to be careful? Every woman has a right to walk her streets without fear. Every girl has to grow up, the right to grow up in a safe neighbourhood. Every child deserves protection, not excuses. When women are raped, when girls are assaulted, when lives are lost, that's not unavoidable. That's not complicated. That is failure. Failure of policy, failure of safeguarding, failure of leadership. We know the dangers have always existed, but they must always be confronted. But when new risks are introduced without proper planning, when concerns are raised and dismissed, when communities are ignored and not listened to, that is reckless. Protecting women means honest risk assessment, not denial. It means listening, not lecturing. It means preventing harm, not reacting after another family has been devastated. Strong communities protect the most vulnerable. They do not shame them. They do not gaslight them. They do not sacrifice women and children to avoid difficult conversations. We are sick of the two-tier justice. Justice must be blind, not political. The law must protect everyone equally, or it protects no one. So today, in Leeds, we make our demands clear. We demand proper safeguarding. We demand real transparency. We demand genuine community consultation before neighbourhoods are changed. We demand proper vetting, proper standards, proper enforcement. We demand accountability from the decision makers. And we demand zero tolerance to violence, whoever commits it. No more denial, no more spin, no more waiting until it's too late. Do not mistake our calm for weakness. Do not mistake patience for acceptance. We will not be shouted down. We will not be silenced. We will not be made to feel guilty for demanding safety. Because protecting women is not controversial. Protecting children isn't hateful. And demanding accountability isn't wrong. We stand arm in arm, men and women, for our streets, for our families, and for our future. And we say peacefully and clearly and proudly, protect our women, protect our children, listen to the people. Enough is enough, and we will be heard, and we will not stop until safety comes first.
Part two. Part two from Sue. Yeah, I can't do it on this track. Remember guys, the most important person speaking is the person with the mic. All the outside noise is irrelevant.
Wonderful to see you all here. My name's Sue and I represent the North East Division of British Women First Pink Ladies. Where's he gone? I've followed Billy for a very, very long time, and his cause, coming from a place with historic grooming in Newcastle. Newcastle being the North East, north as in above Manchester and Leeds, the bit that kind of gets forgotten about, where as well it was brushed under the carpet many years ago, for a long time, and still is, to be honest. Today, I stand here for the victims who were and still are ignored, the survivors who were silenced and lives that were destroyed, whilst those sworn to protect looked the other way. This is not about attacking justice, it's about demanding it. The evidence is already there. Reports have exposed a pattern, not isolated mistakes, but a culture of failure. How many lives could have been different, even saved, if someone had simply listened? We cannot forget the years of suffering in these communities. Reports were dismissed, evidence lost. I've lost a bit. In some cases, evidence was overlooked. Sorry.
on, you got it. Go on, Sue.
Investigators hid behind excuses, of cultural sensitivity, whilst youngsters and children and vulnerable people were being groomed, abused and raped. There is no culture that justifies the protection of predators. There is only right and wrong. And when a society allows abuse of any form to continue because it is uncomfortable to confront, that society has failed. We will not stand silent whilst victims are ignored.
No, we won't.
To the survivors who were failed, we hear you. To the families who waited for justice that never came, we stand with you.
Yes, we do.
Enough turning away. Enough victims left without a voice. We are and will continue to be the voice. We will continue to be the presence. People are watching now. Things have changed. It's more, more out there. And justice finally must be allowed to speak. It's down to people like us to carry on, the ordinary people, regardless of what we're called, what labels are thrown, whatever. It's feet on the street, speak out, speak up. Thank you for listening.
One more time for the pink ladies, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I'm not naive enough to think this just happens in our community. This happens in every community, and I'm bringing a really brave person in front of you now to speak about his stuff, the stuff he's been through. It's very daunting for this lad to come and stand before us, so please give him a nice, warm and appreciative and a supportive welcome. Nadeem.
Thank you all for being here today. First, I want to thank Billy for inviting me to speak at the Survivors campaign. I'm grateful for the chance to stand here and share my voice alongside so many brave people. Before I begin, a brief contact note. I will be speaking about childhood sexual abuse, bullying, and the impact of trauma. Some may find this distressing. I am here today as a survivor of abuse. For many years, I stayed silent. When my sister-in-law took her own life last August, it shook me to my core. Her death and the years of abuse, torture and harassment she endured forced me to face my own past and to finally speak about the horrific abuse I suffered as a child. Only then did I realize how deeply it had been affecting me all along, and how much damage it had already caused. It affected my relationship with my wife, my family, even my children. At one point, the pain I was carrying forced us to separate. Thankfully, we are together now, and we are okay. I want to be honest, the road is still rocky. Healing is not a straight line. It does not happen overnight. My abuse began in Lahore, Pakistan in 1993, 1994 when I was 13. I was studying Hifz. I was one of the youngest students there, vulnerable, away from home and eager to belong. Older students befriended me, gave me small amounts of money, drinks, and made me feel seen. Then the boundaries shifted. What began as kindness turned into grooming and then into abuse. There were 9 of them. I was a child who didn't understand what was happening or why, and I certainly didn't know how it would haunt my life for decades. When the truth began to surface in my second year, a student told a teacher, I thought that meant protection for me. Instead, I was threatened. I will deal with them later, but first I shall have to beat you up for not speaking. I was told. The victim was punished. The institution protected itself. My brother was even instructed to punish me. As a child, I believed the lies my abusers told me, that if I spoke up, I would be the one in trouble. And that is exactly what happened. Only years later did I understand they were punishing me for their own failures. 3 of the perpetrators are living in the UK today. 1 has been identified, 2 have not. I've been told repeatedly that they cannot be identified. That is something I continue to live with. When I returned to England, I hoped that Empire would end. It didn't. A student who lived in the community spread rumours about what happened at school and on the street. There was laughing, name calling and cruel hand gestures. Shabir Alam, that was the name thrown at me like a weapon. A taunt still echoes in my head even now. Some may say it was just kids being kids. It wasn't. It was bullying. It was trauma. And I'm still carrying it. Let me ask those people something. Imagine your own son or daughter, your niece or nephew, waking with a knot in their stomach, dreading school, expecting humiliation. Picture the lasting damage that would do. Then ask yourself who you want to be now. Last February, when I was navigating a safeguarding issue at Tameside College, everything came crashing back. It was deeply traumatic. I experienced suicidal thoughts. I don't share this for sympathy. I share it because silence nearly killed me, and because what survivors carry is serious, complex, and often invisible. Survivors need to be heard, believed and protected. Since then, I've come involved with charities, and their support has helped me tremendously. I want to acknowledge Anthony Seddon in Ashton-under-Lyne, who referred me to We Are Survivors in Manchester. That referral changed my life. Support saves lives. There is often public discussion about grooming gangs. Pakistani men are frequently mentioned. I want to be absolutely clear. This is not about race. Abuse is not caused by race, religion or culture. Abuse is a choice made by abusers, enabled by instructions and communities that fail to protect the vulnerable. At the same time, there is a problem in parts of our community that is too often minimized, misunderstood or denied. Too many defend abusers, too many blame the victims, too many tell survivors like me to stay quiet. I cannot stay quiet anymore. Since silence protects monsters, silence destroys lives. This protest, this demo is not about hate. It is not about attacking any community. I am from this community. I love my community. I also know what it means to be failed by its leaders and institutions. Because of what I've endured, I still struggle with trust. I'm working on it, but I will not allow my pain to be used to feel prejudice. We cannot confront abusers without feeding hate. We cannot demand safeguarding without enduring vigilantism. Thank you so much. We can support the work of lawful trauma-informed safeguarding, reporting to the police, strengthening policies in school, colleges, mosques and madrasas without turning on each other. To those who laughed, who pointed fingers, who thought it was a joke, this is not revenge, this is truth. I am speaking, I am standing up for the boy who was silenced and broken. If you hear me today and choose to reflect, to apologise, to raise your own children to be kinder and braver, then some good can come from all this pain. To the institutions that failed me, safeguarding is not a policy document, it is a promise. Believe children, protect them first, hold abusers to account. Do not punish the victim to hide your shame. To the survivors standing with me, and to all those still in the shadows, know this, you are not to blame. What happened to you, it was not your fault. Your feelings are valid, your life matters. You deserve safety, respect and care. You deserve justice. We deserve support. We deserve protection. We deserve to be heard. Today, I stand here for those who are hurt, for those who are still suffering, for those who never got justice, for those who are still too afraid to speak. I stand here for all you survivors. Thank you very much.
Guys, one more time for Nadeem. Wow. Unbelievable. Brave man, brave man. AC Spartan, where are you? My guy. Ladies and gentlemen, good friend of mine. We've not been good friends for long, but we're good friends now. Brother from another mother, AC Spartan.
Hi guys. I didn't prepare, I didn't know I was going to speak today. Apologies for the noise. I just came today as a spectator to support Billy. I'm the founder of Spartan Child Protection Team in Scotland. We're an online child protection team that catch any adult exploiting kids online. That's basically what we do. You'll find us on Facebook. I've listened today, and I've just listened to Nadeem speaking there, and I'm struggling to keep my emotions in check hearing his story. It was absolutely horrendous. Very brave man. Well done, Nadeem. The Pink Ladies as well, they need no introduction. Guys, there's not a lot I can say that's not been said already. We're in the grip of, in my opinion, the greatest scandal in the history of this country, where we are still seeing systemic failures from top to bottom. The establishment's continued denial of the existence of rape gangs in the UK. A failed inquiry that is still faltering and stuttering and hasn't got off the ground. It's literally achieved nothing. They don't know what to do. They've already got the evidence, the substantial evidence. It's documented massively. And yet here we are, relying on the public with petitions begging the authorities and the established powers of this land to acknowledge that there is a crisis and that children have been historically exploited and are still being exploited on an industrial scale. The UK has become the embarrassment of the civilised world, led by a government who have got their heads so far in the trough, they have got no interest in acknowledging the children that have been exploited and been failed in the care systems of this country. We talk about the Borstals and the child institutions that were established to protect kids, where children were systematically abused for decades, time and time again. Lives, hundreds of thousands if not millions of lives ruined by systemic abuse while in the care system. It's one of the greatest failures of the UK, and it's still not been acknowledged the way that it should be acknowledged. It's a massive, gross failure, and the leader of this country should hang his head in shame for not taking the bull by the horns and throwing every single pound and every single asset that he has at his disposal into bringing this to an end once and for all and ensuring the safety of children. And you've got Billy, who's been campaigning for 20 years and has barely got a following in the UK. Now, what is interesting to note is that the amount of people here today is literally dwarfed by the number of police officers present. That tells you all we have to know about the normalisation of abuse in society. When people don't even turn up because they've normalised it that much, because they read about it every single day on every single platform, and it doesn't shock anybody anymore. It's got no shock factor. Children being raped time and time again, some of them hundreds of times, documented with the National Crime Agency, and there's what, a few dozen people here today. There's not even 100 people present, there's more police officers. And there's a march over there. I won't say what it's in aid of, but there's way more people over there for something that doesn't even have any substance in this country. It's happening out with the UK, but we can't even address the failings that we're here for today. We've got a few dozen people present. Friends of mine went to Braintree today to protest from Scotland, and I said, I'm going to Leeds. This is the priority. This is the priority because we're still swirling our feet in the mud, working out how to conduct an inquiry that's going to cost tens of millions of pounds and achieve absolutely nothing. We don't need an inquiry. We've got all the evidence we'll ever need. We've got all the witness testimony that we'll ever need. We don't need to spend tens of millions of pounds on inquiries. We need to spend tens of millions of pounds implementing safeguarding for children in institutions and young kids and socially deprived demographics all over the UK that are being failed by policing, and the people that are empowered with their safeguarding that are not implementing it, that are failing every single day in the dereliction of their duty in public office, paid huge salaries and achieving absolutely nothing. The chicken protection team that I've founded's grown arms and legs, and the further down the rabbit hole I go, the more my head is completely blown by what I find. Tens of dozens of documented operations into regional organised grooming gangs, and nobody wants to acknowledge who's behind it, and everybody wants to throw hate and racial slander to anybody who addresses it. If you're scared of slander, you've came to the wrong party today. Don't ever be scared to be called out for something that you feel strongly about. Don't ever be scared to call it exactly what it is.
How come we do what's right?
So, I have to say something. Leeds, I'm disappointed in you today for the numbers present, but I'm hugely respectful of the people that came here today. Now we have relatively small numbers in social media considering the volume of people that's on it. I hope today by posting and sharing that there would be some more people here. I didn't know I was going to speak until Billy told me earlier on the way down. I'll always speak up for what I believe in, regardless of the hate and the slander and the malicious crap that gets thrown at me. I don't give a shit about that. I care about what's right, and if I can make a difference, I'm going to make a difference. Because if you look the other way, you're part of the problem. If you choose to walk by here and read these banners, and you can clearly say that it mentions grooming gangs, that it mentions exploitation, that it mentions sexual abuse, and you continue walking because you're out shopping or you're going for a coffee and you can't stop for 10 minutes and show support, you're part of the problem. By default, you become complicit when you look the other way. It's time the people of the UK stood together, put religion aside, put hate aside, put football aside, put all the crap that indoctrinates and divides to one side and stand together once and for all and address our failing government for their negligence. If a few members of the Labour Party and those in power were the very last people on earth and I had to team up with them to keep myself alive, I would stand myself. I wouldn't rely on them, because if they can't protect children, what are they going to do for me? Alright? So I look around me here at survivors, and I only have to look at their faces, and I'll never forget Nadim's speech. I'll never forget that. And I'm still trying to keep my emotions in check, and I'm still trying to process what he said. Very, very brave man. You get the pink ladies. But look at the crowd, guys, look around you. Hugely disappointing numbers. But we won't be beat, we won't be silenced. We'll continue to address it, and we'll continue to stand opposed to the failures in government, and the way that they're still dragging their heels and calling this inquiry, you know, it gets a little bit of press coverage, but it's already losing its momentum. Why? Because they cannot acknowledge the truth. And I'll tell you quickly why. In order to conduct an inquiry forensically, they would have to criminally indict half of the civil service in this country that looked the other way, while on expenses, while on salaries. This is not addressed at all police officers. It's well documented that many police officers looked the other way and failed in their duties. There are thousands of good police officers in the UK, and there's some bad apples, the same as every walk of life and every occupation. In order to conduct this inquiry properly, you would have to indict retired officers, pensioned up to the max, social workers, half the social services, all of the caseworkers, everybody from the justice system down to the bottom rung of the ladder, and you would have to put them all in a dock and take them all through trial. And I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people over a 30-year period. If you ever think that they're going to do an inquiry that will put anyone in a dock, then you need to take your head for a you know what, because you're in cuckoo land if you think that. They're going to lie their way through this. They're going to fabricate an outcome. They're going to hide everything that they've always hidden. They're going to go over old ground and spend millions doing it, and continue along with the gravy train, and keep the same people in the same jobs that failed you and failed your children, while they collect their pensions. I could rhyme off dozens of names in this part of the world who continued in employment and gained their pensions while willfully neglecting their duty to protect the people they were empowered to do so. It's documented. You cannot lie. It can't be covered up, but they won't address it. So don't be fooled with all their nonsense that they're going to make a difference. The only people that make a difference is the people that have turned up here today. The public, the working classes, the people that don't have the power, but you've got a voice, use it. Okay? So, as much as we're slightly disappointed with the turnout, we're still here, we're still standing, and we'll still be heard. Yeah. Listen guys, thanks for having me on here. There's other people here more important than me that have got stuff to say. Thank you very much. And any work that you want, you know what I do, you'll find us on Facebook. We're Spartan Child Protection Team. Thanks guys, cheers.
Can I just add as well, Alex has travelled all the way from Glasgow for this. The Pink Ladies have come from Norwich and Newcastle for this. But yet there's a few dozen people from Leeds. We need to grow this to thousands, not hundreds, thousands. That's only when they'll listen. If you can't unite behind the children, we might as well fold our tents up and the country's done. Simple.
Chris Burrows and his partner Tammy and the rest of the crew at Northern Patriots have had